Can we translate the Lord of the Rings precon for the Elven Council to Historic Brawl? Well, we're about to try it. Let's see what happens. So this is my variation on the Elven Council deck, but in Historic Brawl. Since we don't have all the cards from the precon, of course, though, we have to kind of make do with some other alternative replacements. So let's take a look and see what I've done with the deck. This is being headed up by Elrond, Master of Healing, who is what I said I would use in the precon upgrade deck video that I did. For 2 green-blue, you get a 4/4 Elf Noble that says whenever you scry, put a counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. So the idea here is you scry with a bunch of stuff, put counters spread out all over your elves, make the little elves into bigger elves, and smash face. Pretty straightforward when you think about it, but it's actually a lot harder than that because you have to actually get a good mix of scrying cards and elves and other things going on to get this to actually work. So this first column here is all about like land ramp and things like that. Just, things that are kind of not elf driven. There are elves that tap for mana, but these are the things that are non-elf related. I have a Delighted Halfling in here to keep with the Lord of the Rings theme, but also give us some mana fixing in here. Arcane Signet and Mindstone, they both have Lord of the Rings printing, so I included them in this. Entis Restoration, this is good. Sack a land, search it for up to 2 basic land cards. If you can control a creature with power 4 or greater, instead search for up to 3 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Be careful with this card. I don't remember if that game is going to get included or not, but there was a game where I didn't click on the other 2 lands. I only clicked for 1, and it's an up to. So if you just select 1 and hit OK, you're only going to get 1 land off of that, and it's not that good if you do it that way. Then I have a little the Ring Tempshoe package in here, and that's mostly for 1 card, but it's a really good card, so it's worth having. And that is Galadriel of Lothlorien. 1 green-blue 3/3 Elf Noble. Whenever the Ring tempts you, choose a creature other than her as your ring bearer, and then scry 3. Whenever you scry, you may reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card revealed this way, put it onto the battlefield tapped. So, if the ring tempts you, you get to choose something else as a ring bearer, and then you get to scry for 3, which then if Elrond's on the battlefield, well, you're going to get to put 3 counters on 3 different creatures. So that's pretty powerful. So I wanted to put a package together of stuff for that. Then we have a column of just scry spells because we need stuff to scry to get these triggers and stuff to go off. The most powerful things of which that are in here are things like Season of Growth. Creature enters the battlefield, you get to scry for 1. It also, you get to draw a card if you target it with a spell, but we don't have a lot of that going on in the deck, so I'm more worried about the scry part. We also have In Search of Greatness. Beginning upkeep, you get to scry for 1 if you don't use the free spell mode. And it's a little harder to get that free spell mode to go off in the deck, so it's basically scry 1 every turn. We also have Sylvan Anthem. This card is actually really good in this deck because green creatures get a +1/+1, and every time a green creature enters the battlefield, you get to scry 1. Well, most of the elves are green or green-blue variations. There's not very many mono-blue elves in here, and that makes it so this is a really good card for us. And then you get to trigger off of every elf you play, essentially, to scry, and then you put a counter off of Elrond. We're also using Arwen's Gift from the new set. Scry 2, draw 2, Mirror of Galadriel. Now, this says that it costs 5 to activate to scry 1, but in actuality, you're going to pay 2 to 3 mana. I've never paid more than 3 for this to scry 1 and then look at a card and get the triggering effects off of it. We also have things like Hithlane Knots. Tap a creature, scry 1, draw a card, so you can clear the path for your elves to get through. You scry, which then you can use to make your stuff bigger, and then you get to get a card replacement out of it anyways. Then this long column is all the elves we have going on here. Now, I'm basically using all the elves from the precon, including the printings that were done for the Lord of the Rings of stuff that already existed. And then I'm using a lot of the new elves. And I've mentioned these before, but we'll go over them again here real quick. So we have things like Elvish Visionary, Elvish War Master, Paradise Druid. Those are all in the precon as reprints, but we just have the old art on the Arena client. We have some newer stuff in here like Nimrodel Watcher from the main set. If you scry, it gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked, but it only triggers once a turn. So, but if you put counters on this and then you scry, you can have a really big unblockable creature real fast. We have things like Lothlorien Lookout. You attack, you scry. And again, if you put the counters on this, it makes it bigger and it's harder to kill. And then when it attacks, it gets basically +1/+1 counter. Elvish Clan Caller was added to this. I thought this would work out well because of the name. Other elves you control get +1/+1. It's just an anthem effect for our elves. Same thing with Leaf Crown Visionary. Gives our elves +1/+1, and then you can pay a green to draw a card when you play more elves. Arwen Undamiel, she's from the new set. Green blue 2/2. Whenever you scry, put a counter on a creature. If you can get her down along with Elrond, it is nuts how many counters can go flying around the board. Like, I've had them out and I'm just like, scry this, and it's like counters here, counters there. It gets out of hand if nobody deals with it right away. The other Elrond, Lord of Rivendell, when it enters the battlefield or another creature comes into the battlefield under your control, scry 1. If it resolves twice this turn, you get the ring tapped off of it as well. Elvish Mariner, this thing is really, really good, and I think people are underestimating how good this is, because I've had people kill other things around this and then die because this was left alive, because you're tapping down their blockers as you're scrying for things. So then you get to then just basically free swing into their face, and I just think they're being overlooked on this particular card. We also have Greyhaven's Navigator, flashes in 3/2, and then you get to scry for 1. I mostly use this as an ambush thing where I get to scry, like I'll fly in, I'll scry, and if Elrond's around, it's basically a 4/3 with flash for 3. And then you can either take out a smaller creature that's attacking you, or you can take out a pretty good sized one and trade off. We have Chance Met Elves. This thing, even though it only triggers once each turn, it's still really, really good. I've had this thing up around 10, 11 power before, and it just sits there and pounds away. We also have, what's this? Reclamation Sage, 2/1, blows up enchantment artifacts. Tyler's Provisioner, Landfall, creates treasures and stuff for us. These both have new printings. Elvish Archdruid, again, they just reprinted that with new art. Galadriel, we just talked about her. She's really good. I also put in Canopy Tactician. I thought this kind of fit the theme and gives us another anthem effect and a big mana burst as well. Celeborn the Wise is here. Whenever you scry, you get to go ahead and make him a little bit bigger, and when he attacks, he scries. Elven Ambush. This one is actually from the, Kaldheim set. And I was like, oh, I've never really seen this card before. You create a 1/1 green elf warrior for every elf you already control. We already have a bunch of elves on the board, and so you can basically pay 4 and get like 4 or 5 more elves at a given burst. We also have Legolas, Counter of Kills. This thing is kind of nutty too. It's a 2/3 elf archer for 2 a green and a blue that says reach. Whenever you scry, if Legolas Counter of Kills is tapped, you can untap it. This only happens once each turn. And whenever a creature an opponent controlled dies, put a counter on Legolas. I had this thing up to, I think it was like an 18, 19 or something like that, before my opponent finally stole it with a captivating crew and sacked it to get rid of it because it was just slamming through their creatures. I really wish I had a way in here to give trample. I think that I need to add that in. And then we have Galadriel, Gift Giver. For 3 green, you get a 4/4 Elf Noble that says whenever it enters or attacks, put a counter on another target creature, some more counter synergies, create a food, or create a treasure. So you have some flexibility with what you want to do. If you don't need the mana, you can go ahead and make a food, or you can put a counter. If you need life, you can do that. There's some functions here. And then this column is all about the +1/+1 counter synergies, since we're working with a +1/+1 counter commander. So we have things like Hardened Scales. We have things like Pelt Collector, which grows. We have things like Snakeskin Bill, which gives counters and hexproof. Contentious Plan. This is one of our few proliferate spells that weren't related to Phyrexia. I have them in here. So you just go, proliferate, draw a card. Ents Fury, put a counter on a creature if it's power 4 or greater. So like if you put a counter on Elrond, it becomes a 5/5, and then it can fight something for us. Inscription of Abundance puts counters on things and fights or gains life, or all of the above if you kick it. We have Ranger Class, allows us to go ahead and put counters on things. I like this because I was like, okay, most of the elves, they're rangers of some type. So we'll go ahead and put that in here. We have Smell Fear. It gives us a fight spell. It proliferates. We have Courage in Crisis, gives a counter, proliferates. And then we have Inspiring Call. This is kind of a protection spell for creatures that have counters on them. It makes them all indestructible, and you draw a card for every creature that you control with a counter on there. So it's just really, really good. And then the last column before the lands here is kind of like the I don't have a category for it type thing. So I have things like Council's Deliberation, draw a card for 2, and then when you scry, you can exile to draw another card, which is very synergistic with all the scry we have going on. I have Trailblazer's Boots, aka Lorien Brooch, in here, just like I had in another deck before. 2 colorless. Equipped creature has non-basic land walk, equip 2. It's very far and few between that you will find a deck that does not have at least one non-basic land on the battlefield of some sort. So you can strap this onto some really big elf and smash face. We also have Mithril Coat. It's a 3-cost, flashes in, indestructible, and when it enters the battlefield, you can attach it to a legendary creature. So in response to somebody trying to kill your legendary creatures, you could flash this in and save it from death. And then we also have River's Rebuke. This was a late add to the deck. I had another Ring Tempstu card in here. I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head right now, but it's the one that costs 2 and a blue. Target creature it becomes a 5/5 base power, and then it Ring Tempstu. It was not doing it for me, and I was struggling against some decks that just basically built up a giant wall, and I couldn't pound through them, so I needed something to stop that, so I put River's Rebuke in here just to help with that. And then the land base is mostly, islands, forest. Rivendell's in here because it gives us a scry on a land. You just got to have a legendary creature. Well, most of the deck has big chunks of legendary in anyways, so we more than likely are going to be able to activate this. And then, blue-green lands that make sense with the Lord of the Rings theme, or if it has a printing in the deck. And then we also have the Grey Havens. When it enters, scry 1, taps for colorless, or taps for a color among legendary creature cards in your graveyard. So that's the deck. I had some fun with this one. Again, it's kind of similar to how the Mordor deck I just did recently played out. It's kind of got a half and half win rate on it. It does really well against things that are kind of slower and dirtly or not running a ton of removal, but it does pretty bad against anything that's like finely tuned, high powered, just awfulness. Like Corval just stomps me. Tom Bombadil can give me fits. There's a lot of commanders that if they tune their deck well, it doesn't handle real well, but it's a lot of fun watching your elves grow and just turn into these monsters if you can just sit there and chain your scries together. That said, we'll talk more about it after the gameplay. Legolas Master Archer. All right, we got us a Lord of the Rings commander. We'll give this a try. Because I just did a test hand and I got just completely mana screwed. I didn't draw land for like 3 turns after mulliganing once. So I think the algorithm was like, I don't know what to do with this. Let's just smack it around a little bit. Alright, so we got that. If we get a blue, we can play Elrond next turn. It just depends on what we get. Not a blue. Ooh. Alright. We'll pass the turn. It's so many options here if I had a blue mana. Yep. I can see where this is going. And it's nowhere good for us. Alright. I'm actually I was gonna flash in the coat, but without it actually attaching to something, it's not nearly as good. Well, it's a blue mana. It's just not a good blue mana. So we're just got to sit and wait. Unfortunately, they're gonna have all the time in the world to pump up that Legolas. So yeah, we're gonna have to be able to cast something and have Mithril Coat, I think, available to flash in and save our bacon. Because otherwise, they can just put a counter or something on him, and yeah, and it's just like blank, goodbye. This is not good. We need a bounce spell or something. Oh, come on, deck. Don't keep me hanging here. Crap. Alright. We're still a mana short. So we're going to play Galadriel, and we're going to make a treasure off of her. Because that's really all we can do. Because we're that screwed for mana, so... But, I mean, again, they just play like... It looks like they're playing like a pump variation where they dump all their eggs into the Legolas basket. It's kind of like how I did my... what is that one? There's a different deck. Yeah, see, they do that. They shoot Galadriel for a boatload and then swing for a ton. But they're doing kind of what I did with my... my brain is evading me right now. Thrun deck, where you just go all in on the commander, and then I don't have a bunch of ways around that. It's like, I don't know. I think the safer play is Galadriel with the Mithril Coat, so when they go to try to kill her, I have ways of stopping it. And then I have an indestructible blocker. Now, if they give Legolas Trample, we're screwed anyways, probably. But we need to try to stabilize. Get the trigger on there. Come on, do your thing. Alright, so now we're going to flash in Mithril Coat. So they have to have another spell that can target Galadriel. If they do, she's dead. Do they have it? Of course they had it. All right, it's the Dark Lord. Let's see what we can do against them. Okay, this has got a good mix of blue and green lands in it. So we'll go ahead and keep this. Kick it off with the Temple of Mystery and see what we got on top. I'm actually going to scry that away because we got most of what we need in our hand already. Probably going to do Breeding Pool on 2 so I don't have to shock myself. So I have to wonder what kind of variation, if they're doing like I did. Oh, actually, no, we're not going to shock ourselves right now. If they did the variation where it's reanimation, or if they're doing the amass variation, or if they're trying to do what I did where I kind of tried to blend the two together, and it was okay, but it wasn't like spectacular. I just don't know what they were doing. Okay, they got a blue. Okay, gore bag. Probably the other one. I wish I had a different... Playing against black sucks because it's like I don't know what to expect out of it, if they have heavy removal or not. I'm going to play the 4/4 to keep Gorebag from smacking me. Unless they kill Elrond, but then that keeps them from playing other things. Alright, what is it? -1 and can't block? Ugh. Lame. Oh, they're going to sack him anyways. Okay. I might use the Rex Sage on that. Not sure yet. Alright. Non-token creature. It's not a permanent, so I can't do that. We're going to shock ourselves. I'm going to use the Rex Sage to get rid of the Clawing Torment because it's irritating. And then actually going to... I'm going to use Inscription of Abundance, and I'm going to fight. Smack the Mahur around. Because that thing allows the amass tokens to come out with more and more counters on them, and that's dangerous. Because, especially if they get the March for the Black Gate down, that thing with March to the Black Gate is freaking nuts. Because it's basically enters with 2 counters, and then as soon as it swings, it gets 2 more counters. So it's just like, okay, it's a 2/2, now it's a 4/4, and it's like, oh crap. So this sucks though, because this is not going to be able to balance an army. Alright, so I still don't have any Scry in my hand. That's what irritating. So let's drop the Chance Met Elves. And I'm actually going to bounce Sharky back to their hand, and I'll make the Rex Sage the Bring Bearer. Judith, under the patrol, second creature, draw a card. Okay. Shoot. Well, I guess for now, Master Elrond here is going to go flying in. And I guess we're going to play the Elvish Mariner. It's the smarter play, because if I get a Scry spell, then I can start tapping down their blockers. But we have yet to find any kind of Scry spells, which is kind of irritating, because the deck has quite a bit of them. Okay, there's Sharky again. But they have their 4/5, so I can't just free swing with Elrond either. Alright, there's a Clan Caller. That's actually pretty good, because then that makes it so they can't unless they gang block something. But I can tap that down. Alright, let's do this. Clan Caller. That makes everything bigger. We're going to swing. We're going to scry. Don't need Hardened Scales. We're going to tap down the Kirith Ungol Patrol. And we're going to put the counter on the, the Rex Sage, I guess. So they're all 4/3s. I think that's lethal doing that anyways, because, yeah, between this, because if they block either of the 5 powers, they still got, like, what is that, 8, 5, 13 damage coming through. So they have to have a removal spell in hand and block one of the 5 power creatures to live. Because that doesn't, that doesn't save them. Judith, haven't seen her in a long time. That is one of my favorites. This is pretty good if we get a couple of mana, specifically at least one of them being blue. So we can cast Elrond and Contentious Plan. But we have some scrying, we have some ways of putting counters on things. Alright, there's the blue mana I wanted. We're going to go ahead and drop the Lorien Brooch, aka the Trailblazer's Boots. Of which I will say, if you had the gold, if you haven't already bought a bunch of packs and bought the 45,000 pack thing they give you, this is what they give you for it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll take it. I'm going to use Rex Sage and blow up Kumano Faces Kakazan. Yes, I'm taking that action. If I don't want them having the 2/2. And they didn't get anything out of the second chapter, so... Aces, you paid to zap me for 1. I'm good. Alright. So, what do we do here? I guess we'll go ahead and start off by just swinging for 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop Elrond. Because that means that they're going to go ahead and burn a removal if they got it on him. And I'm okay with that, because this is 1 less removal. Now, if they use, Languish, then I might be a little, but we'll see. Typhoid Rats, okay. Well, shoot, okay. Death Touchers are a pain in the neck. because it makes my fight spells not as good. So I think the play might be just Leaf Crown Visionary track down. Because I can't, unless I use the Rec Sage as the fight. This is where things get interesting. Because I can't put that down because then Judith would shoot it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Inscription of Abundance. And I'm going to fight the rat with the Rec Sage. Because the Rec Sage is just utterly vulnerable right now. I mean, you can do 1 damage to that. It's a 4/3. It's not going to get you anywhere. Because I'm just going to do this. I'm going to track down. And we'll dunk. We'll keep this. Whoop. I think. Actually, we'll keep it like this. I want the land, but I also want Glorfindel. And I'm just going to put the counter there. So even if they go to do the block and ping thing, they can't kill Elrond. That's what they were thinking. They pinged it thinking I wouldn't swing in because they could block and then do 1 damage and kill him. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So we got our 5th land, which is what I wanted. So we should be good on lands for a while. But now I need to be able to scry some more. Because Judith can shoot like the Leaf Crown Visionary out from underneath me. There's a lot of things that they can do, and it's irritating. Landfall pings, yeah. They got all kinds of pings going on. So I need to be able to scry and put counters on the Visionary and stuff to keep them from doing that over and over again. Alright, so Glorfindel is... I think I'm just going to put the boots on Elrond. I'm going to put the pressure on their life total. I'm also going to put these guys down. I mean, if they want to sit there and try to, snipe the Chance-Met Elves, that's less dangerous. But yeah, you can't block because you played your Bloodfell Caves. Oops. It was on a theme thing for the Elves, and it's actually really good. So, because unless you're playing up against a monocolored deck, and even then, most of the time, there's some variation of a non-basic land in their mana base. Take action. I mean, I can't block Elrond, but I can block her. I mean, I'm going to take another damage for that, but she's not coming back this turn. Alright, so what to do? Oh, we have a ability to scry with that. Alright, so let's play the Leaf Crown Visionary. And we're just going to go ahead and swing for 6. And I'm going to keep the Greyhaven's Navigator in my back pocket. So if they go to ping it, I can flash that in and save it. Oh, they didn't do it. Okay. I was thinking they would go after Elrond, personally. There's Judith. I'm not taking this damage. I will be flashing in the Greyhaven's Navigator. So, yeah, we'll take a card. And don't need that. So Elrond's going to put a counter on the Visionary, and I'm just going to block there. That way they can't use Judith's ability to ping the Visionary to death. Because even if I put it on the Navigator, it would still die. Alright, they're at 6. I can get 7, or see, 6 damage, 9, 7. I'm trying to think if I can kill them outright, and I don't think I can. Because I can't scry right now. That's the issue. If I could scry, I could kill them. Let's go ahead and proliferate. 8. Interesting, to say the least. Let's go ahead and play the Anthem. And whenever a green creature, so the Elfish Mariner is not going to help me, but this will. Scry 1. Hey, Elrond, guess what? You're getting bigger. There's our 9/9. Bye-bye. Ooh, I'm glad I drew the card because I wasn't sure if I could pull that off or not. It's Sauron. Alright, let's see how the elves do. I kind of like this hand. So I can do either Sylvan Anthem or I can do Nimrodel Roger. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want here. I think I'm going to do Sylvan Anthem just in case they get into like the discard shenanigans. I don't want them to make me discard that, and it gives me basically a free scry whenever I play anything. Let's go ahead and do Nimrodel Watcher, because if they get a blocker down, then I can do either Galadriel or Chance-Met Elves. Alright, so what makes the most sense here? It's gotta be the Chance-Met Elves, right? I think so. Alright, Legolas, like, I had a really, really good game earlier where Legolas just was a huge threat against a Corvold deck, and it kept the Corvold deck in check until they got a Captivating Crew to steal it and sacrifice it. But at that point, Legolas was like an 18-19 or something ridiculous like that. Okay. Alright, so let's do... I want to do this backwards because I want to get the extra card off of the Council's Deliberation. So let's do this. We'll get a Scry off of Sylvan Anthem, and then we'll also get the trigger from the Deliberation to draw a card. Yeah, I want that. I need the lands. So the elves will get a little bit bigger. We'll get the land. We'll get the card draw. Okay, that's not bad. And then we'll swing the Chance-Met Elves at their head. So they must want to keep that Amass token live. So they must have a bunch of Amass in hand or something. Alright, there is Sauron. But I can make my stuff big. So... I wish I had a land. Alright, so yeah, we're just gonna go for make elf big. Reveal, no. Yeah, we'll swing it. I mean, if they want to block with Sauron, I will gladly sacrifice the elves for that purpose. And I'm going to wait. I didn't want to cast the Leaf Crown Visionary into that because I didn't want to make that bigger unless I absolutely had to. I mean, yes, it would have given me another power to work with, and then I would have been able to kill both if they would have double blocked, but I was just like, eh. Now, the cool part here is that we know Season of Growth is coming. I'm gonna take that hit. I mean, they probably should not have done that. I know they're doing that to make a ring bearer out of something and dig for stuff probably, but Like between the scries off of Sylvan Anthem and the scries off of Season of Growth, we're going to have a lot of scry action going on here real fast. Mass 1, Death Touch. Okay, well, I'm not worried about Death Touch, so... yeah, you can amass whatever. So if I drop Elrond, I can scry 2, make 2 of my things even bigger. I'm kind of liking that plan, to be honest. Because we're going to end up making this stuff so out of control, it's ridiculous. Let's go ahead and put the counter on Galadriel. Decline. I don't want them seeing that information. Elrond's going to trigger again. Let's put the counter on... let's put the counter on the Elves. Decline again. And then we'll go ahead and play the Leaf Crown Visionary as well. Because again, we don't necessarily need to reveal all that information. And we'll just go ahead and make Galadriel a house. They have to block both. So... all right. So Leaf Crown Visionary is probably gonna double block that army with Elrond, is my guess. If they swing. I mean, they're probably swinging, right? Now, if they have like an instant speed of mass, then I just kind of get to go, oh, sad me. Okay. So, yeah, we're just going to swing. I mean... I think, like, the best case scenario for them right there would have been try to blow up the Chance Met Elves with an instant speed removal spell, chump Galadriel and take 4, but then I have Expiring Call in my hand, and like, these two would have lived through it, so... oh boy. It's Tom Bombadil. This is, besides Sauron, this is probably the most popular one I've seen so far, commander-wise, that has come out of the new set. This is probably my 6th or 7th Tom Bombadil, and I've yet to beat this stupid thing. So let's see if the Elves have the magic touch. Let's go with Clan Caller to start with. Alright, so the question is, do I do Mariner, or do I do War Master, or do I do... I think I do Provisioner, actually. I think the Provisioner is the better play. Because if then every land we play after this, if they don't deal with it, gives us resources. But the question now is, I don't know what their intents are. Okay, so that'll give us a treasure. And then... oh, I picked food. Whoops. That was a mistake. I did not mean to do that. So let's play Elrond. And we'll go ahead and swing with the Provisioner. They have Enchantress Presence. Okay, every saga they play is going to draw them a card or any other enchantments that they drop at this point. So now, yeah, see, there's their first saga. They're going to take my food token, which I mean, fine. If you want the food token, have it. I'm going to play Sylvan Anthem. I'm going to play Elvish Warmaster. That's going to give us a Scry trigger. I'm going to put the count. I'm going to keep that because I want that land. I'm going to put the counter on the Clan Caller, and then I'm smashing. Alright, so they're going to stun counter probably these two, the 5-4 and the 6-6. Because that's the biggest threats I have. Like, I wish I had another, like, cheap creature, because then I could do the Elvish Mariner and make stuff bigger, and then just play, like, a green creature to scry and tap something down. Because as it is, the Mariner can't swing yet. Okay, so there's their binding. Where's the binding going? On the Clan Caller. I'll take a card. So that gets me just a little deeper into the deck. Alright. So now I'm making myself a treasure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 mana shy of doing what I want to do with this. So let's drop this. We'll keep that, because then I have a green body to go with. We'll tap that. Because why not? Puts a counter on that, then I get to swing. I still have the Council's Deliberation up. So, unless we get some weird board wipe action going here, I think we have this, but I'm not going to count it until it happens. Draw a card for each tapped creature. Okay, so they can draw 3. So again, there's a good chance. Do they have the board wipe? It has to do at least 4 damage, whatever it is. Okay, they're tapped. No, they have 1 mana. They can bounce something if they have a 1 mana bounce spell. Resolve that. I need to read this card. Tap target creature an opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't think it matters, because I think I'm just gonna cast or use the activated ability on the Elvish Warmaster this turn. I was gonna do some other things with it, but I'm just like, eh. Okay, yeah. It didn't matter. Like, just to show how little it mattered, I could have played the Archdruid, which would have scryed and tapped Tom Bombadil, or just attacking with the Mariner would have done it, and I had a bunch of damage coming through. Or I didn't even have to do that. I could have just paid 7, activated the Warmaster, giving all my stuff +2/+2 and Death Touch, swing, attack with Tom Bombadil, and do, like, what is that, 4, 9, 7, 16, 22 damage. So yeah, they were good and dead. So what did you think? I had a lot of fun with the deck. Again, it needs some fine tuning. I think one of my things is I'm actually hamstringing myself, and I'm doing it because I want to try to stay as close to theme as I can for the Lord of the Rings. But unfortunately, with it arena and 1v1 versus a 4v1 game, I am hamstringing myself significantly in some cases, and it shows in some games where I'm just like, well, if I had this card, it would work out better. But I'm enjoying playing Historic Brawl right now more than I've enjoyed it in a long time. It's just I have no control over what my opponents are playing. I don't have any say in, okay, I would prefer to play Lord of the Rings stuff because most of my opponents are still not playing Lord of the Rings stuff. And again, I get that. There's not a lot of wild cards floating around for a lot of people. I have a lot because I don't I only play Historic Brawl, so I'm not buying a player set of stuff. Some people try to play every mode of the game, and they're just dancing on the line of keeping wild cards. I get that. I understand that. But that said, I had fun. I hope you guys had fun, and I will see you in the next video.